Now, gentlemen, we can move on now and quickly, if we can take just about, I'm sure there are some of the issues that we can deal with a lot of speed. Now, Mr. Edulabi, yeah. There is the CI 72, and in the CI 72, section 1(3)(d provides a list of the documentations that you require to be able to be registered as a voter. And those documentations included the NHIS card. The Supreme Court has struck that down and says, no, you cannot use that anymore. That certainly is good news, is that not it? To try to kind of, clean up the register.
It makes a lot of sense. You see, if there's anything to be taken from the judgment of the Supreme Court with regard to the last elections, it is some of these things: documentation and identification. I would want to believe that if we want to have free and fair elections, the issue of our identities should be clarified. And I believe it should start from the fundamentals. If you go to other jurisdictions, if let's say even poor Togo, our neighbors, they make everything clear from the beginning. You are born, and at a certain age, you get your card d'identité. The card d'identité, that is the identity card, is based on your birth certificate, and then you proceed with your life. In some places, at the age of 18, you get your, your social security card through your letterbox. In some places, your medical, insurance and other things follow in that, consequently. And it even goes through, to your electoral eligibility and so on and so forth. Your ability to vote and all those things. These are things we haven't done in Ghana, or even if we've done it in patches. It is, I believe, time for us to clear those things, such that at the end of it, all these issues of identity, ambiguities about our identity and so on, can be removed. Until that is done, we would always continue having such challenges, such as with this NHIS thing, which I believe, is one of the issues. In fact,
the fear was that the NHIS card is available also to foreigners.
That is precisely the point I'm making. And this is the reason why I believe that we need to be very clear about our identities, so that such NHIS issues do not come in at all.
I see.
You see that? Because you see, at the last elections, they then sole MP of the CPP had to undergo the ordeal of seeing people streaming from the Ivory Coast. They were not even resident in Ghana, be they Ghanaians or not. They streamed in from the Ivory Coast by boat, by bus, and whatnot, and they voted massively against it.
You didn't report to the police?
Well, people were aware in the western region, in Jomoro. People were aware of these things, and it started during the registration.
No, I don't understand when you say people are aware. The police ought to have been informed that foreigners were coming into the country to vote. That's your civic responsibility.
Fine, the police were informed.
And what did they do? Because I don't know about that.
Well, the thing is, what they did was not to bring the people. They did it on the blind side of the police, taking them to constituencies where they believed there was no, there wouldn't be any controversy. And before people, got to realize it, all those people had been registered. This is the thing that can really endanger our democracy.
I see. That's serious. Nana, the suits were brought first by Kwesi Danswe Champong, and also later by Abu Ramadan and Evans Nemako. And I'm holding the order of the court certified copy, in which the court simply said that it has struck down that particular regulation 1(3)(d of the Public Elections Registration of Voters Regulation 2012 CI 72, because it is inconsistent with Article 42 of the 1992 Constitution.
And what is the problem with that? There's no problem with that.
There's no problem?
No.
How are you going to deal with the many people who do not have passport, driver's license, or National Identification Authority cards?
There is a requirement that you can be vouched for by people in the neighborhood and so on. So there are other means. I think in very simple and clear terms, you should be a national of this country to be able to register to vote. The health insurance card does not satisfy the requirement of nationality. So it should not qualify. I mean, a passport satisfies the requirement of nationality and the other documents. So it's very clear. For me, I see it as a beginning of the efforts to ensure that all of us have a register that we can live with. The biggest thing that we have in this country, really, it's our democratic credentials. All the little mileage that we are getting is because since 1993, we have been a country that has been governed under a rule of law and democracy and all of that. So anything that goes to strengthen this path for us, we should not joke with it. And so I see this as just one step. I commend the people who initiated the action. I commend the Supreme Court for the judgment. But there are other issues that have to be addressed. Those issues, some of them were highlighted at the electoral petition that took place last year. More particularly, the numbers of voters on the electoral register. We look at the statistics. Even in Africa, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Kenya, Senegal, you would find out that the proportion of voters on the electoral register to the general population is about 44, 45, 46%.
That's the point Nanado makes.
In Ghana alone, the proportion of voters on the register as against the total population is in excess of 56%. Clearly, there is something wrong with the register. And that is the call that is being made, that all of us will have to put our heads together, seek technical expertise to clean the register so that our elections are sacrosanct. All these calls about power sharing and all of that, I believe that if the elections are sacrosanct and they genuinely represent the views of the people, all of these calls about power sharing and all of that may not be very necessary. So okay. I am very happy about it.
Right.
But this is just the first step in a long way to ensure that the electoral process has the required integrity to move us forward.
Right, because Anado is also calling for a certain auditing forensic, is it, of the voters' roll first before we proceed. Now, Abi, the political parties, how are they going to now ensure that their supporters who want to register to vote, who do not have a driver's license or the others, and who are now left to, you know, the discretion of some two people who are supposed to attest to their citizenship? If they got up in the morning and said, I'm going to register, and they call the AB and they call someone else and you don't have time to go, then it means that they are unable to register.
That's the flip side of the judgment. It would, in my opinion, disenfranchise a number of people, considering the fact that the most common of all the cards is the National Health Insurance Card, which can be accessible to everybody because of the fact that health care is free. Let's not also create the impression as if the EC was engaged in an illegality at the time they called for opening the dates for registration. The EC was just following CI 72, so it was legitimate for it to do that, and nobody shouting on top of the rooftops could have stopped it. It is only the court. Now, but
you also know that CI 72 was rushed through quite the process of you know, legislation, and people had problems with it.
Yeah, even the CI 75 also. So all these things, and it is sometimes it's because we keep on stopping the EC at every stage. When the EC needs time to do its work, we also have this penchant of stopping it at each stage of its processes. Well, it's good for democracy. It's sort of put this EC on its toes, but also that also goes to limit the time that EC has to do other things. So when you look at the ruling, I think that what the court took into consideration was the fact that that ID card has no provision for nationality. It isn't because any foreigner can get an national card. In the same vein, any foreigner can get a driver's license, but in that card, your nationality is indicated. So that's the difference. So if that has been shut down because there's no indication of your nationality, I think it is in the right direction. But we must also look out for the repercussions where a number of people will be disenfranchised because they don't have any of these cars. And these cars, in my view, are for privileged people, people who want to travel outside, people who have money to buy cars, and all those things. So what do we do to our brothers and sisters who are in the rural areas who also need to? That is where I think that the political parties will now have to go into the hamlets and tell their supporters to be each other's keeper, so that you could assist your neighbor or your party man to go and vote by just availing yourself at the polling station.
Okay, Kuku.
Well, just last week, I indicated that my instinct, was more inclined towards getting the Supreme Court to vote in favor of the plaintiffs.
Right.
I think that's what has happened. It's good. We need to clean our act. We need to clean the register. All these things are part and parcel of how we can enhance the integrity of our election process. Perhaps the EC was a bit stubborn. I mean, yeah, true, was within the law, but they were stubborn. People were talking. Let's all come together and agree that, look, let's have a consensus so that we can get this thing out of the place. They didn't appear to think it was an option, and were proceeding. And even in the course of the case, you remember the adverse sentence.
But if they had agreed by consensus, I could have gone to sue them.
Yes.
That's,
no, I mean,
law,
no, I don't mean by consensus, but agreeing to that, exit legally. That's what I mean. We all agree, so that the semblance of the conflict wouldn't arise. Because I appreciate the point that you must use the law to cure that mischief.
But you must also recognize that the EC should not be seen being directed.
No, IPAC is there. They collaborate all the time. That has not taken away EC's mandate. Okay, let's start developing that soft spot for each other. Very accommodative approach. As we move towards election 2016, we must sow the seeds of tolerance now. Now, and stubbornness and intransigence, all those things must be downplayed. That's the point I'm making.
Okay, so I was hoping also that we